My mama married my stepdad, Pete, when I was 10, but he and his daughter, Lacey, have lived with us since I was 9. Lacey's a year younger than me, for reference. Lacey is not a good person, and I'm not sure why, because Pete's a good person. I've never met Lacey's mom. Lacey would say stuff like, "Ew, you look and sound like a trans guy." She also used autistic as an insult, and once when my friend was teaching me ASL, Lacey saw us and said, "Why aren't you flapping your arms? You all look like stupid kids." In middle school, Lacey made fun of me often, and Mama and Pete would say it was just Lacey's sense of humor, and she didn't mean any harm. She stopped in high school because our parents put their foot down with Lacey, but Lacey still made fun of kids at school, and she hasn't changed much since middle school. It's why Lacey and I have no relationship, and I only see her as Pete's bio kid, not my sister. I'm getting married next month, but my fiancé and I have been planning our wedding since 2020. We were engaged in January, but we decided to wait to have our wedding after the global issue and some other personal events. We had confirmed all our bridesmaids and maid of honor since the beginning of this year. Lacey asked to meet at our parents' house and showed up in this extravagant white dress while saying that I should tell my bridesmaids to get similar dresses because she wanted them to match the maid of honor herself. But again, our wedding is in a month, and Lacey hadn't even asked me about being a bridesmaid. So I laughed out loud because I honestly thought it was a joke. I realized Lacey was serious, and I told her there must have been a misunderstanding because my best friend, Aurora, is my maid of honor. Lacey started saying some vile stuff about Aurora and that she was supposed to be the maid of honor because she's family. I told Lacey that she has an ugly attitude and that I would never see her as my real family because she acts like people are below her. Lacey started yelling at me, but I told her I wasn't dealing with her and left. My fiancé and friends say that Lacey was seriously entitled, and I don't owe her to let her be my maid of honor, especially when she's always been nasty. But my parents said that what I told Lacey was cruel, because even though we didn't get along well for most of our lives, Lacey reaching out to be my maid of honor is a sign she wants to have a bigger role in my life. Mama and Pete said I was wrong when I told Lacey I don't see her as my real family, and I'm implying that a step family can't be a real family. I didn't, and still don't see my statement to Lacey that way, because it was about Lacey's attitude and not her being a stepsister. But since Mama and Pete both saw it that way, I'm not sure if I was out of line. Am I the idiot? OMG, she's coming to your wedding in that dress? Well, who's ready for a toast? Break out the fine red wine and be careful not to accidentally spill any or the entire bottle on her dress as you pass her a glass. Not the idiot. Best of luck, OP. We should open a business. Clumsy guest. For a small fee, plus food and beverages, one of our trusted employees will come to your wedding and accidentally spill wine on the people like your stepsis. OP, your mom and stepdad are enablers to Lacey, which is one reason why she's so entitled. Nothing she did during that presentation was an olive branch. She's not only entitled, but she shows an apparent lack of insight. She honestly thought she was a maid of honor without speaking about it with the bride. She just assumed. Also, a maid of honor in a white dress where she wanted other bridesmaids to wear white as well? Dense as a brick. Or maybe just trying to hijack OP's wedding for her own and pretending to be the bride on that day. Lacey's not trying to have a bigger role in your life. She's trying to upstage your wedding. I'm sure your mama and stepdad would love to pretend that you're all one big happy family, but that's just not true for you and Lacey, and for good reason. She's hugely entitled, and you should consider uninviting her, or having a plan with security to throw her out if she wears that dress or creates other trouble. Congratulations on your wedding. Update. Thank you for the feedback and advice, people. We've taken many of your common suggestions and hired security. They know to keep an eye out for Lacey, and they will have her leave if she tries to make a scene or arrive in that white dress. I, female 31, married my husband 33 last year. Before me, he was in a long-term relationship with Liz. Liz's family is close to my in-laws. They even do business together. So they try to stay in agreement and be nice to each other, Or at least that's what my in-laws keep drilling into us. The thing is, this Liz girl has been making indirect comments, flirting, towards my husband. Every time we had dinner with her and her family, she'd throw in a comment or compliment about my husband's eyes, suit, hair, or whatever. I tried not to get affected, especially with the pressure my in-laws kept putting me under to keep their relationship with Liz's family. But honestly, I was getting fed up. Recently, I started noticing her inappropriately looking at my husband. She'd sit across from him and stare towards his belt area. I saw where she was looking because it was obvious, and my sisters-in-law noticed too. I kept giving her the benefit of the doubt till I noticed her making faces while looking down there, and I knew that she knew that I knew because she'd almost bite her lip or lick it with her tongue. It's awful. My husband had no idea, as he's usually not paying attention, so I asked her if she had an issue, and she said nothing. I had enough after she did it again last week. We were sitting in the living room, and she sat across from him, and the same staring began. I snapped and asked her why she was staring at my husband's private area. She looked stunned and her face went pale. My in-laws had the same reaction. My husband stared at me in confusion. She got up, said she needed to leave, and left the room. My parents-in-law were angry, but not just because of my question, but after one family member kept asking Liz the same question, "Why were you staring at my husband's private area?" I got scolded and accused of starting a rumor and insulting Liz and upsetting her, which is bad for business. Husband said nothing, but his parents were livid and demanded an apology from me to Liz ASAP. Am I the idiot for calling her out? Or did I mess up? Everyone's the idiot here, except your husband, who seems to be a weirdly passive participant in all this, despite being the most directly affected by Liz's actions. So you didn't try talking to him about what Liz was up to and giving him a chance to handle the situation before you decided to mark your territory? Why did you even call her out if he's completely oblivious? Surely she was doing an excellent job of humiliating herself all on her own. I agree she could have talked to her husband to make him aware, but you lost me at, why did you need to call her out? Do you mean in general or in front of people? It's so disrespectful to OP. Clearly more people also saw that someone would openly be so suggestive, and it makes OP uncomfortable, so it needed to be addressed. Not the idiot. She's gross and inappropriate, and don't you dare apologize. Are you sure that Liz is over your husband? It sounds like there needs to be a complete break with this non-business relationship with that family. He needs to only deal with them regarding business matters, and they need to leave him alone otherwise. How does your husband not know? Why not tell her husband so he can handle it, or reach out to her privately? Causing a scene like that makes everyone look bad. If he's not interested in her, maybe he's not paying attention to her or where she's looking. This feels like an issue that may not be solved overall. Your husband used to date the daughter of his parents' business partners. It could be that the family's paranoid that the business partners will dissolve the business relationship because of the breakup without any reason to think that. Or they have reason to worry. That's their problem. I'm a 47-year-old single dad of a 19-year-old young man who was born as a female. We lost his mom 2 years ago. He came out to us as trans 3 years ago and completed his transition just a few weeks ago. My sister's pregnant with her 5th child and is doing a baby shower/gender reveal next weekend. The whole family is invited. Her baby is due at the end of July. I'm throwing my son a gender reveal party this Thursday. He always wanted one ever since he came out, and now that he's officially a man, we're finally throwing one. The whole family is invited, though some won't come because they disapprove. We sent out the invitations 2 months ago. My sister told me she'd see about coming because she's heavily pregnant, and I put her down for a maybe. Yesterday she called me fuming and said that many family members are actually coming to my son's party. Since this is the first family thing since the global issue, this will be the first big party, and then her baby shower will be an afterthought. I told her that I was not moving my son's party because everyone will still attend her baby shower on the weekend. She said I'm faking a gender reveal party, and I told her that was ridiculous. She said it wouldn't even be a proper gender reveal because he's not a baby. Then I just said that she could either come or not, her choice, but I'm not moving the date. Am I the idiot? So she's mad that her 5th baby shower isn't going to be the first big family party post-global issue? A 5th baby shower wouldn't even happen in my family. They already have all the stuff. That's just kind of gift grabbing. Not the idiot. Your sister's acting entitled. Maybe she'll finally get that snoo or whatever that $1,500 bassinet thing is called. Your son's gender reveal party is almost more important than hers, since she technically has no idea what gender her child will identify as. He's celebrating his true self, which is beautiful. I was coming here expecting to see another gender reveal scandal, but this is actually quite nice. Also, it's not like you put it on the same day. Happy gender reveal day to your son when the time comes. Your sister needs to chill. I didn't know people still had baby showers for a 5th baby. I've noticed people side-eyeing someone's 2nd baby shower. 5 seems like a lot, but the fact that most of your family's coming to your party is great. Party on! Kudos to you for being so supportive of your son. We, him 31 and I 32, live in a small apartment with our toddler daughter. We're struggling financially, and he hasn't been working since he broke his leg 8 months ago. So I'm bringing money in while saving for an AC because it's so hot where we live, and the fans weren't enough. I bought an AC 2 months ago, put it in the living room, and it made a huge difference because the apartment was hot. My husband kept huffing about buying the AC, saying I wasted money and should have just kept using fans. Finally, he told me that since I had no issue paying that much for an unnecessary luxury, I had to pay for him to go on a trip with his friends. I declined because I didn't have the money he was asking for, even after he said he'd pay me back later if I wanted. Also, his friends wouldn't let him go if he didn't pay. I suggested he skip it, since it's an out-of-country type of trip and very costly. Not to mention the stuff he'd need from food and sleeping equipment since they planned to go out into the wilderness. He threw a fit and said he'd skipped 3 trips so far, and his injury no longer stood in his way, so he wanted to go. I suggested he go borrow the money from someone, and he got offended. Days ago, I discovered the AC was gone when I returned from work and freaked out. It turns out he sold it online and waited till I was away to remove it and take it. He tried giving me $100 to guilt me down, but I was seething. I yelled at him, and he said he needed the money, had nothing valuable left to sell, and thought the AC was unnecessary. Still, he offered to save and buy a new one once he started working. I demanded him to pay me back immediately, or I won't be staying in this place with these conditions. Even my daughter hates how hot it is in here. He started arguing about my unreasonable stance, and I told him off. He got some of his friends contacting me, convincing me to let him go on the trip and we'll figure something out later, and that his mental health was more important. But I responded that if they cared so much about it, then they shouldn't have expected him to pay to go with them. So they stopped speaking to me. Now he's accusing me of ruining the trip and alienating his friends. Not the idiot. He should get a job. AC isn't a luxury item. For some people living in certain conditions, it could make the difference between life and death. Your husband thinks only of himself and what he wants. He has no business having the titles of husband and father. What a disgrace. Exactly. 8 months for a broken leg? So if he's well enough to go camping, he's darn sure well enough to get a job. His wife and child need his support. Where do these useless spouses come from anyway? I think this is divorce-worthy. At this point, he's already acting like a bachelor, so why not? I'm confused why his friends are even involved. If any of them try to guilt you, I would thank and congratulate them on offering to pay for his trip along with food, and CC all his other friends that reply. But let's be honest here. You're taking care of 2 kids. If you can't afford to take care of both, it may be best to drop one. I recommend dropping the one trying to gaslight you and make you feel like crap for buying an AC. Seriously, count the day he leaves on his trip as the day he moved out, pack up all his crap, and drop them off with his homies. The dude cares more about his wants than his spouse and daughter's needs, and is sitting on his butt still 8 months after his injury. I wanted kids. My husband said he did too, and wanted to wait until we were married. We got married 8 months ago, and he changed his mind and doesn't want kids, later admitting when he had been drinking that he never wanted kids and that he was hoping he could change his mind for my sake after we got married, but decided it's 100% not for him and scheduled a vasectomy. He got it last month. Kids were not a deal breaker for me under any circumstances. I love my husband, and if we don't have kids, well, I'll live with it. He's been great to me, and we have a seemingly perfect fairy tale life. So yes, it hurts me sometimes that kids will not be an option. But again, it's not a deal breaker, and it usually doesn't keep me up at night. I have a bunch of nieces and nephews that I can spoil rotten, but I combat the hurt I sometimes feel by joking about it, dark humor. My husband knows this and jokes with me about it. Well, we went to his family's house for a bit of a dinner, and my sister-in-law announced that she was pregnant. So mother-in-law ends up asking us when we will give her grandbabies because she isn't getting any younger. Her, not me. So I did what I always do and pushed through with dark humor because I was already feeling a little gloomy and, dare I say, envious of my sister-in-law being with child. So I started laughing and said, well, this one doesn't want babies, so he trapped me under false promises, and started nudging him saying, huh? Which is what we do at home. I don't know why this is a thing. We did it once and just never stopped. My husband goes silent. My sister-in-law, father-in-law, and brother-in-law laugh. My mother-in-law wasn't even mad. She just turned to my sister-in-law and said, "That's okay, because we still have one bundle to snuggle." Super understanding family, zero judgment. I mean, great people. But my husband was dead silent for the rest of the dinner and later said I was wrong for saying anything to his family about him changing his mind and saying that it wasn't something they needed to know. He said I should have just said I didn't know and let the conversation drop instead of calling him out in front of his parents. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I love that you understand about him not wanting kids. However, I would be furious at a partner that would willingly deceive me like that. You deserve to have that info up front. I wouldn't be able to trust him. What other decisions and big items is he going to make and clue you in later? Yep, this only shows he's a good liar and doesn't care about the consequences, or rather knows there won't be any consequences from OP. Not the idiot for the joke. However, you are the idiot to yourself for not taking a better look at what your husband did to you. Clearly, OP's husband doesn't know how many times a week a childbearing age woman gets asked, children or grandchildren for when? Kids now. Please give babies. And how quickly it gets annoying. Whether you want kids now, want kids but not now, want kids but can't, or don't want kids at all. He takes the decision unilaterally not to have kids with OP, and not only does she have to just accept it, but she also has to face questions about her future procreation alone, with dismissive answers that are sure to bring more pressing questions from nosy people. They are everywhere. It's unavoidable. This sucks. If it's not a trap, what the heck is this? Why are you still with this guy who lied to you, trapped into marriage, and gets sulky when you mention it? What was he planning? To let you endure questions about babies and pregnancy without ever speaking up? When, if ever, would he speak up and take that burden off you? So many red flags. I don't think OP went far enough. She should have mentioned the snip to the family. Not clear if he told OP about it before or after. He didn't change his mind. He never wanted kids. And yes, he wants to blame OP.